I'm live? Alright, welcome back everybody. Today I'm doing something a little different outside of my usual content. I'm going to be doing a death battle, Simon the Digger versus Kyle Rayner, and from what I could tell, the animation looks pretty cool if this is what it is. So, honestly, I know nothing about either of these characters. I do really enjoy looking into DC sometimes and seeing some of the stuff about Green Lantern, but the only ones I'm familiar with are like John Stewart and Hal Jordan. So it'll be kind of and Guy Gardner, of course. But I look forward to seeing more about this and seeing who this guy actually is, what his story is, and I don't know anything about Simon the Digger or Simone or whatever his name is. So hopefully I'll get to learn more, and I'll actually be able to do, I guess, either guess correctly, and then maybe however this transpires, I'll go and I'll do more death battles. I'll go in reverse and do the ones that are in previous. But without further ado, let's start. And honestly, I will guess who is going to win after I see the analysis.
Simone the Digger.
Kyle Rayner, the White Lantern.
Two men born of
Okay.
Earth with the willpower to pierce the heavens and conquer infinity.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Deep underground, Jiha Village lived in dreary isolation, oblivious to the wider world above their squalid cave.
That's where the hero of our story comes in. The young man who would lead his comrades into the sunlight at last. Kamina, the great and mighty. Oh, and his little brother from another mother, Simone. He was there too, I guess.
Wait,
Simone
that's
was
Simone?
a digger, content to drill endlessly through the dirt, until the day he found the core drill.
A key that activated the mysterious buried mech that Kamina named Lagan. Under his magnificently masculine leadership, Kamina finally drilled their way to freedom, seeing the sun after a life in the dark.
But the sky was by no means the limit. The surface was ruled by the cruel chimeric beastmen, and Kamina would lead his compatriots against them to reclaim the Earth for humanity. Starting a second mech in the process, aptly named Gurren.
And as befits Kamina and Simone's unbreakable brotherly bond, Gurren and Lagan merged, creating Gurren Lagan.
With Kamina piloting the body and Simone the head, these two were unstoppable.
Of all the giant fighting robots in all the animes across history, Gurren Lagan might just be the absolute coolest, fueled by its pilot's willpower and capable of making any weapon they can imagine.
Including missiles, a jetpack, a sunglasses boomerang, and of course...
Drills! Wrist-mounted drills, kunai drills, shield drills, kamehameha drills, and everyone's favorite, the Giga Drill Bureku! Side note, it is so funny that the only thing they could think of was drills. That's like I made booze or something, my whole personality. What up?
With Gurren Lagan's awesome power, Kamina laid waste to enemy forces, liberated human villages, and fomented a rebellion against the Beastmen King, Lord Genome.
Until Kamina died. Oh, wait, shit.
Wait,
was that
what?
supposed to happen?
Nope, and it was all Simone's fault. He let his willpower waver, and his soul brother paid the price. After all, he was just a humble digger, at home in the darkness, guided solely by the light of Kamina's spirit.
So his big bro left him with these final words. Have faith in the Simone who believes in you. Damn.
Kamina was the one looking up to him the whole time. It was Simone who found Lagan, Simone who pierced the surface, and Simone who would now lead humanity to victory.
Especially with his gal pal Nia at his side, who helped pull him out of his rut and kick Lord Genome's ass. But victory only lasted 7 years before the anti-spiral attacked.
Unimaginably powerful godlike aliens, the anti-spiral feared humanity's potential, what they dubbed the Spiral Nemesis.
Remember how Gurren Lagann runs on fighting spirit? Turns out that's just a manifestation of spiral power, an energy that all spiral beings, like humans, have. That's right, the laws of physics run on chutzpah.
Just as the spiral turned inward represents endless obsession and madness, this, the spiral turned outward spins forever into infinity, the perfect representation of humanity's evolutionary potential.
Potential Simon would use as he led Team Daigurin across the multiverse to take the fight to the anti-spiral. And this is when Gurren Lagann gets crazy.
Channeling spiral power lets you constantly adapt to threats, no matter how overwhelming. Simon can create portals to different realities and higher dimensions. He can generate force fields, absorb energy attacks, and even merge Gurren Lagann with bigger and stronger machines.
Creating the Arc Gurren Lagann, which is strong enough to shatter space and time with a punch.
Or the super...
Shatter space and time with a single punch. How do you beat this thing? Like, when do feats just become so unrealistically big that you just don't even believe in it anymore? And just believe it's just anime. It happens. I don't know.
Galaxy Gurren Lagann, which can fire lasers that are fast enough to hit, and I quote, all time, space, and dimensions. All within a Planck instant.
That's the smallest unit of time physically possible.
Meaning each laser would have to be moving 4.6 times 10 to the 117th power times faster than light.
Jesus.
Oh, well, looks like this wins the award for fastest calculated speed feat in our show's history. Congratulations, Gurren Lagann.
Move over, SpongeBob. You've been dethroned. Oh, and the guidebook says they hit an innumerable number of enemies across infinite universes. You literally cannot calculate how fast that is.
But it wasn't enough to escape the anti-spiral's greatest trap, the multiverse labyrinth. An attack that imprisons Simon in his own unique multiverse, forced to experience an infinite number of alternate realities that controlled his mind, permanently arresting him in a dream world.
Jeez.
Except Simon and his spiral power are just built different, and after being inspired by his bro, Simon absorbed that whole multiverse to escape.
What makes this even more impressive is that this labyrinth was 11-dimensional. Meaning, Simon absorbed a higher dimensional structure several orders of infinity greater than himself. The jump between dimensions is basically infinite. Each new dimension adds a new direction of space that extends infinitely, thus an infinite gap in size and scope.
What?
Excuse me.
Imagine a two-dimensional drawing interacting with a three-dimensional person.
Okay. That's not too far off from what actually happened.
Because when Simon absorbed the multiverse labyrinth, he merged with every alternate universe version of himself, including an alternate universe Simon who is writing his own alternate universe version of Gurren Lagann. And that author's spiral power made his fictional Simon real, adding another to the mix.
Wait, if every human being has spiral power, you're telling me we can all do this shit?
This all gave our Simone enough spiral power to form the next step in mecha evolution, Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann.
This is when Gurren Lagann gets actually fucking crazy. Like shooting missiles that alter probability so they have a 100% chance of hitting you, or tossing galaxies around like frisbees. Sorry, did I say galaxies?
What?
I meant universes.
Simon's power was so immense that he started generating super spiral space, a higher dimension encompassing our own universe.
With it, Simon turns his thoughts into reality, letting him create his mech and all of its weapons in the first place.
Not only does this mean he no longer needs co-pilots, he can also regenerate any damage done to him or his mech just by willing it back into existence.
That's
like
crazy.
Use spiral power to survive quantum breakdown, or the time Nia, now the best wife in the universe, used spiral power to constantly regenerate her body from being erased at the informational level.
What?
7 days straight.
Information in physics is essentially the ones and zeros that make up every possible outcome in reality. Nia literally regenerated from the statistical certainty of her own destruction.
If I have spiral
What?
power, whiz, when the fuck is my leg growing back?
When even this was not enough for the anti-spiral, Simon evolved one more time.
Into Super Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann!
This mech is so big, its size is literally incalculable. And with a drill somehow even larger than that, Simon and his friends shattered the anti-spiral once and for all.
Hey, cruel indifference of the universe! Meet the indomitable human spirit!
Proving Kamina's words prophetic, that Simon's drill is the drill that would pierce the heavens.
With no more worlds left to conquer, Simon chose to wander the earth for the rest of his days, in service to others.
Always looking up, for all the lights in the sky are stars, and every star another world of spiral cousins that can live free.
All thanks to a humble digger.
How do you follow this up? Like, this guy is absolutely insane. But, okay, cool. All of these feats sound like he's just practically unbeatable, as long as he has the willpower to do so. I mean, anime logic, I guess, but now I know which anime I'm going to go and check out next. Anywho, let's see who his competition is.
The universe is a dangerous place. Should you find
Yeah.
yourself face to face with an interdimensional vampire, alien dictators, or this one really pissed off cat, you know who to call.
Yep.
The Green Lantern Corps. They're the Space Fuzz, an intergalactic police force founded billions of years ago by blue leprechaun gods.
And the greatest Green Lantern among them was everyone's favorite, Hal Jordan.
You
Yep.
know him. You love him. You might hate him.
Ooh.
But you gotta respect the man with a will as unbreakable as Hal's.
Until the day his will broke.
Just stopping off of that previous death battle that I just seen, I'm assuming that was Green Lantern versus Ben 10. I can definitely see where a lot would have definitely went bad for how they've depicted Hal. But honestly, I'm not going to step on that because it's basically a landmine asking for multiple comments to constantly blast you. But anyways, maybe one day when I do the episode.
After his hometown got completely obliterated, Hal lost his mind. He rampaged through the core,
Jeez.
killing everyone in his path, and absorbed the central power battery, the literal Green Lantern.
Becoming the Emerald Tyrant, Parallax.
There was only one survivor of Parallax's killing spree, Ganthet. And with what remained of his strength, he gave the last Green Lantern ring in the universe to a human, Kyle Rayner.
So,
Okay.
was Kyle picked for his indomitable willpower like Hal was?
He was just there. He had no idea what was going on. Must feel good being given the most dangerous magical weapon in existence to figure out on your own. Hey, if Colonel Sanders,
Yeah.
Daffy Duck, Space Wheat, and a sentient
What?
fox can master it, what's your excuse, Kyle?
The Green Lantern ring can do anything, fulfilling any wish its user desires as though it were a genie from a lamp.
It lets you fire energy blasts, create force fields, affect gravity, turn invisible and intangible, manipulate matter, time travel, warp reality, and erase things from existence.
Think we're exaggerating? Well, consider the time Kyle stretched the very fabric of space to increase the Planck length a billion times over. That's like stretching an inch into
This is an entire spreadsheet worth of abilities and resistances and some of the constructs that he makes. That's cool. Now I see why these two are going to be fighting up against each other. It's basically a battle of wills.
a light year.
Lanterns control time and space, letting them fly so fast they can create a
Okay.
Speed Force singularity.
Tapping into the Speed Force requires entering a higher dimension of space, requiring speeds that are not only faster than light, but totally immeasurable. And the rings have an artificial intelligence that operates just as fast, automatically protecting its user from danger.
Like the time that Poozer Kilowog survived being erased from existence by the crisis on Infinite Earth.
The ring is fueled by its
Okay.
user's willpower and limited only by their imagination.
While Hal may have had the greatest
Okay.
willpower in the Corps, Kyle's imagination is unmatched, probably because he's a comic book artist. And
Ah.
in this show, they think of some wild shit.
But the Green
Yeah.
Lantern's most recognizable ability is their constructs, Kyle's speciality.
Samurai armor, pirate ships, giant dragons, actual working home computers, and his favorite, super fighting robots. Hey, that one looks familiar.
Kyle can make them strong enough to lift the Spectre, who weighs as much as eternity.
Or hold back
what?
a 12.3 dimensional Big Bang. Wait, 0.3? DC's multiverse has 12.3 dimensions? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
His only downside is that it's limited to 24 hours before needing a recharge.
That's
So it can
horrible.
blow up universes, but it has the battery of an iPhone.
Yeah.
Never mind, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Although I'd say Kyle's biggest weakness was Kyle. With great power came no responsibility.
Perhaps a manifestation of Kyle's self-doubt. Any reflection came too late, though, when one of Kyle's villains brutally murdered his girlfriend, Alex, and put her body in a fridge.
Kyle
What?
wasn't the only one traumatized. This moment was so infamous, it started the trope called fridging.
For how female characters are often sacrificed as mere plot devices to further a male character's development.
So it
Okay.
might surprise you that it happened to Kyle again.
Kyle finally got serious. He became a prominent member of the Justice League, faced
Okay.
off against Hal, and even rebuilt the Green Lantern Corps better than ever.
But little did he know, this torchbearer's greatest journey had only just begun.
In order to save Ganthet from an emotional lobotomy, it's a long story, he had to master all the colors of the emotional
What?
electromagnetic spectrum.
There are 7 colors,
So,
each represent
every
a
core
different
he had to
emotion.
master?
The yellow light of fear lets Kyle manipulate the worst horrors in your mind. The more scared you are of him, the stronger he becomes.
Orange light is fueled by bottomless avarice, possessing Kyle to absorb not merely his enemies' attacks, but also their souls.
Red is rage, ripping out Kyle's heart and replacing his blood with napalm. Which
Jeez.
sounds like it sucks, but it's metal as hell.
Blue light is powered by hope and allows Kyle to heal wounds, resist mental domination, and supercharge his ring.
Indigo
Okay.
is compassion, reducing his opponent's will to fight and letting him open portals across space, connecting him to others.
The final
Okay.
one was the sapphire light of love. With it, he can trap enemies within crystal matrices and control their minds. But Kyle only mastered it by forgiving himself for Alex's tragic death.
Oh,
Okay.
self-love. I get it. Must be nice. And with their powers combined, he doesn't just make his enemies taste the rainbow.
The lights of the spectrum merged, and Kyle became a White Lantern.
Okay.
With total control over the power of life.
Wiz, I cannot think of an attack more useless in a death battle than something that makes you live.
Empowered by the physical
Yeah.
embodiment of all life in the DC multiverse, Kyle is vastly more powerful than any other Lantern in existence.
I
Far
would bet
stronger than
so.
Hal, who could harness the energy of every power battery across the multiverse?
Not only can Kyle instantly heal all wounds, purify corruption, and resurrect the dead,
Okay.
the white light of life is strong enough to go up against threats to all of creation, like the Anti-Monitor.
Okay, so it's not totally useless.
Especially after Kyle visited the Source and acquired the life equation. Essentially
Okay.
the source code to reality, the life equation is mathematical proof that life is worth living.
With it, Kyle can alter all of reality at a
Okay.
whim, even threatening the new gods like Darkseid.
The life equation, like its counterpart, the anti-life equation, is a conceptual artifact from a higher reality, originating in a platonic realm that is, in a sense, more real than we are.
So it's not a shock that
Okay.
the equation made Kyle too powerful.
He
Yeah.
struggled to control it, and it subconsciously manifested a being composed of his fears and anxieties. Oblivion. Kyle's greatest weakness was still himself.
Kyle spent
Ah.
his whole life struggling with the power that the gods granted him, and throughout it all, he always rose to the occasion, carrying the universe on his back.
But ultimately, the only way to stop power from corrupting is to spread it. So Kyle split the life equation into pieces to found his second core, the White Lanterns.
Okay.
And together, they shattered Oblivion, destroying the self-doubt that plagued Kyle once and for all.
Not bad for a comic
All
book
right.
geek from LA.
And
Yeah.
now he was the one giving out rings of unlimited power to people who weren't sure if they could command it.
So he told them the truth. You can't teach someone how to use such power. You have to learn yourself, making mistakes
Okay.
along the way.
But with the power of life at their command, there's no end to their journey, only endless beginnings.
Okay. So, there's Beerus. But regardless, this actually sounds really cool. Both of the characters have a lot of really cool feats and a lot of things that I cannot even comprehend half of it. And honestly, I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing what this battle's gonna give. And I wonder what Beerus is doing here.
Hey, remember Beerus versus Sailor Galaxia? No?
No. This is a death battle that's out there. Okay. That actually sounds really cool. I think I might actually go check this out. Maybe in another stream someday.
Well, that's because it was taken off YouTube for being too anime. But we've got
What?
a solution.
What?
It's our own website. That's
Wait, Master Chief versus Doomslayer?
www.deathbattle.gg. It's like our own private Patreon with a store for Death Battle merch
There's
and a
Eggman
complete
in this?
Death Battle video archive.
Okay.
It's got episodes that you
Jeez, all the death battles. Hold on, let me go back and see this. There has to be like some.
That's because it was taken off YouTube for being too anime.
Okay.
But we've got a solution.
Let's see.
It's our own
Their
website.
new website.
That's www.deathbattle.gg. It's like our own private Patreon.
Okay,
with a
there's
store
Eggman.
for Death Battle merch and a complete
Okay, let's see. Stitch versus Rocket Raccoon, Killua versus Masaka, Skyrim versus Dark Souls, Ant-Man versus the Atom. A lot of these sound really cool. Gogeta versus Vegeta. That is a really cool one. I really want to check that one out. Sauron versus the Lich King. Definitely cool. Deku versus Asta. That's an interesting one. Let's see. Martian Manhunter versus Silver Surfer. Okay, that's kind of cool. Phoenix versus Raven. I mean, that makes sense. A lot of these look really cool, especially Jason Voorhees versus Michael Myers. Okay, let's move on to the next ones. SpongeBob versus Aquaman. That's kind of crazy. I'm assuming that's Trunks versus Silver. Is
Death
it?
Battle video.
Oh, it's Archie Silver. That's crazy. That Excalibur versus Raiden. Okay. To anyone that doesn't know much about my channel at all for YouTube or Twitch, I am a big Warframe enjoyer. So this is definitely the topic for potentially one of the next videos that I put out. Sun Wukong versus Hercules. That sounds like a really cool battle. Boba Fett versus the Predator. Magneto versus Tetsuo. Again, all of these are really cool battles.
Video archive.
Especially Vegeta versus Thor. That was really cool. Let's see. Like, all of these in concept sound really cool. Saitama versus Popeye. That's definitely gonna cause some rage. Iron Man versus Batman. Blake versus Mikasa. There's so many. So, as a comment in this video, just tell me what was your favorite death battle and why. And I may go actually check it out.
It's got episodes that YouTube has banned, blocked, and censored, and there's even more goodies on the way. So
Okay.
check out deathbattle.gg live right now.
I will go check that out after this video and after stream.
All right, the combatants are set, and we've run the data through all possibilities.
It's
Okay, so for my guess, I want to believe that Kyle could do this, but I just can't. I just don't think he has enough as opposed to what Simon the Digger has, or Simon the Digger, whatever his name is. I don't think that he can beat him. I don't know. It may just be coming down to a battle of wills, in which case I don't know in that regard because I don't know both of these characters very well. But I'm sticking it. I'm locking in with this guy here. And let's start.
time for a death battle!
Alright. What type of animation do they use for this? The sunglasses boomerang.
Alright, I'm not rusty at all.
Okay, so cartoon?
Hey dude, Green Lantern Officer Kyle Rayner here. Ring says you've got a Class A galactic super weapon, whatever that is. I'm thinking it's the giant mech.
Okay.
Why don't you hand it over?
Gurlagon's mine, officer. Just who the hell do you think you are?
Okay. Is that Balrog? Soundtrack sounds really cool.
God with authority.
Tell me about it.
4?
Skill check golf.
That's nothing! My drill will pierce the heavens!
Wait, he's busting out everything already? Okay.
That's really cool.
I'm a lantern. We do the impossible.
See the invisible.
Touch the untouchable.
Break the unbreakable.
If you ain't know,
Now you know.
Okay. Well, this is just so hype.
The digger. If there's a wall in my way, I'll smash it down.
Jeez.
stop fighting. Think about your fear of death, your love of your friends, your compassion for me, your hope for the future. Choose life.
Have faith in the Simone that believes in you.
His brother. Time for the Senkai boost.
Super Tekken Topa Gurren Lagann! My drill is the drill that will transcend the heavens! Giga Drill Break!
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
The super weapon wasn't your mech.
It was me.
Then, Simone, I'm taking you in brightest day, in blackest night. No evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might.
Come on, Simone.
My power. Green Lantern fly!
This is so hype.
Let's see you grit those teeth!
Did he win?
You'd make a good lantern.
He did it.
Simon of Earth, you have been chosen.
Just who the hell do you think I am?
I was right.
The guy with the snazzy sunglasses.
When both combatants possess unlimited power, it's hard to judge them by our normal standards. Take speed. Simone can hit an infinite number of targets all at once.
Yeah.
And Kyle can fly fast enough to surpass the normal concept of speed itself.
When you control space and time, things like strength and speed kind of become irrelevant.
Instead,
Yeah.
let's analyze them through a lens more applicable to beings as absurd as Simone and Kyle.
Okay.
Their imagination, their willpower, and their ultimate
Okay.
potential.
First up, imagination. The boundless things they could conjure to use against the other. Both could think up just about anything the other could, like absorbing each other's attacks, fighting across time, anything.
Simone did have a few attacks that Kyle hasn't encountered, like the probability-altering missiles.
Yeah.
It's likely Kyle could adapt considering his ring could protect against existence being erased across the multiverse.
Okay.
In general, Kyle's constructs were a lot more creative than Simone's arsenal, which was mostly
Okay.
drills. Though again, nothing Simone couldn't adapt to with, say, his energy absorption. Imagination
True.
is a draw.
That leaves the other
Okay.
main factor for both characters, the origin of their unbelievable might, their willpower.
And that's really
Okay.
gonna be the winning factor here, since it's the source of everything for both of them. Whoever's got the stronger willpower wins.
Both can manipulate reality on a multiversal scale with their willpower, but we can use dimensions to roughly calculate a difference. This might sound absurd for most characters, but it's necessary for beings as beyond the pale as Simone and Kyle.
The multiverse labyrinth
This
that
is
Simone
crazy.
absorbed contained 11 spatial dimensions. That's 1.3
Okay.
dimensions less than the multiverse Kyle's power can threaten.
And remember,
Yeah.
each numbered dimension infinitely surpasses the one below it.
Which meant Kyle's willpower was stronger at a base level. However, that doesn't necessarily mean Kyle gets the edge. Because
Okay.
if there's one thing both of these guys are known for, it's that they can always get stronger.
So to determine the
Okay.
limits of their willpower, we first need to understand their full potential.
Simone's
Okay.
whole deal with spiral power is how he can constantly evolve to get stronger. So just because Simone starts off weaker doesn't mean he'll stay that way.
Absorbing the multiverse labyrinth required Simone to leapfrog several orders of infinity in an instant. Simone
Okay.
made himself that much stronger through sheer force of will.
More than enough to close the gap with Kyle, especially since Spiral Power also lets him regenerate his body down to an informational level. Kyle's never destroyed something that thoroughly before.
Without the ability to easily kill Simone, it was only a matter of time before Kyle's ring ran low on charge. Especially since Simone could likely regenerate for at least a week straight, like Nia did. While Blue Lantern Light could boost Kyle's power, he's never jumped several orders of infinity in strength like Simone has.
And while Kyle could manipulate emotions to reduce Simone's willpower, Simone resisting the Labyrinth's mental manipulation meant he could power through anything Kyle threw at him.
Everything, that is,
Yeah.
except for the life equation. It originated from a higher level of reality and would have more than even the odds.
Too bad Kyle couldn't control it. It was just as much a detriment to him as an asset, forcing him to relinquish it to keep from destroying reality and himself.
Yeah.
Compare that to Simone, who merged with a version of himself, writing a version of Gurren Lagann, and using Spiral Power to make that fiction into reality.
A pretty similar level of reality to the life equation, and a level of power Simone had no trouble embracing and mastering by the end of his story. No matter how you look at it, Simone might start weaker, but his peak will always transcend Kyle's. Isn't that how all of Simone's battles usually go anyway? That's Gurren Lagann in a nutshell.
So Simone's incredible potential eclipsed Kyle, which means his willpower was ultimately greater.
All
He
right.
embodied life itself, but Simone's unstoppable evolutionary potential would shatter even this lantern's light.
I hope Kyle at least dug the fight, because when it comes to death battle losers, he was a dead ringer.
The winner is Simone the Digger.
Next time on Death Battle.
Alright, who are they putting on the next one? Roadrunner? Tom and Jerry. So,
Subscribe and join as a member.
Wile E. Coyote versus Tom Cat. That's gonna be a cartoon craziness. Also, Shigaraki versus Mahito. That is actually very interesting. I will have to check that out. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. And honestly, I look forward to doing more of these videos. And if this gets a good reaction, then guaranteed I will do more. But guaranteed, the next one probably going to be up on my channel, as it's my own personal bias, is going to be Excalibur versus Raiden, since I'm a big Warframe enjoyer. But we'll go from there and see, and I'll put together like a playlist of like which ones I'm going to go through next. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and see you later, you filthy degenerates.